ABC, CBS, or Fox News. Folks, this is Glendora, Chat with Glendora, and I am reporting to you upon a horrible thing that happened in the village court, village of Chatham, on April the 13th, the year 2004, Anno Domini. This is a case that Glendora brought against Natalia. It's called Glendora versus Nasty Natalia. Her brat sister Lydia, mother Marie, father, brother Carlos, and Preferred Country Properties, a real estate firm in Chatham. And Glendora asked for $3,000 in damages, personal damages. This case went before the village justice George C. Dixon, and this is the night of the hearing. And what happened at that hearing is truly unbelievable. In fact, or the credulity of it, or the credulousness of it, is your credulity will be strained, and the credulous of it is very hard to take. But this is what happened. First of all, it was Glendora's case, and Dixon said to Kleinbaum, who was the lawyer for Natalia, "Do you have something you want to say about this?" Well, you know, the plaintiff speaks first. Glendora is the plaintiff. Nasty Natalia is the defendant. And Kleinbaum is the defendant's lawyer. And it's just unbelievable that Dixon did this. And that was on the previous tape that was heard last week. So Kleinbaum is saying that, well, we don't have a specified amount of what it's for. We have a thing called personal damages, and then we have the names of all these people, and this is his objection to the case, and the objection, his basis for a motion to dismiss. Unbelievable. Let me play it for you. Let me rewind a little bit of it.
She wasn't giving me legal advice, but she oppose that motion. And I have here my act down of $2,000 against the defendant. And I have copies here for support and this is my down against each defendant. $235 security deposit. Plus the interest that's June 15, 2003. $15 for March 29th. I vacated the apartment on March 28th. This is my down. Explain that, man. $3,000 for damage claim. For what? $435 for security deposit. $15 that's damage. How is that a damage? On damage because I didn't receive it. Quick deposit? I haven't received it. Yeah. June 15th, 2002. Yeah, okay. So I want it back? $50 holding deposit on a new place. $500 for heat that Glendora had to pay. Glendora had to pay. $200 for the street fee that got onto the boat canvas of my car. Street fee for the Italian cheese. $100 work. And $244.56 cost and disbursement. $150 marriage. Coming back and forth to court. How much? $150? No, 300 miles. $150.50 a mile. Coming back and forth to court and serving the papers. $200 to remove June, clean up the place that was for assist professor. I tell you what, I tell you that. What's that to read? I'm reading it to you. I want that trash in the field. What if I read? No. Yeah. The Declaration of the United States was not typewritten. Doesn't matter, man. I'm arguing with that boy. I'm arguing that just submitting a reference to this court, and it's not legal. All right? No, all right. You want to say what I said? That's what I meant by all right. I don't care what you think of that right or not. Just, you understand what I said? So you have to point the conversion? Yes. Make sure you understand that. Okay? Understand what? Can you tell me how long that will be? I take instruction to that from notices of appeal. Madam Clerk, can you tell me where the appeal court is, what the telephone number is, the address, and what's in your file, policy is, and how do I submit this policy? Okay? I want to appeal this decision. That's the Judge County Court. For small claims court? I don't file the notice of appeal with you. I file it down in the county court. So I'm talking about the appeals court. That's what she's talking about. The county has the appellate court. Okay, would you tell me who to ask? It is the Columbia County Court. What's the courthouse? Do you have a number? Do you have a number? You have a number for county court? Do you have a form for notice of appeal? No, I don't. They have all the forms. So it is 3339, and that's the close side. Okay, we'll tell you how to file this. Okay. But you have to put us on notice that you're appealing, and it has to be in writing. I thought that you gave the appeal to the lower court. No. Okay, so I send the notice of appeal to 77 Main Street? Yes. Yeah, and how much is the filing fee? There's a filing fee of $5. Okay, and I send that to you? Yeah. Okay, then I can do this by sending this to you. Right. Okay, thank you. Okay.
And folks, you want to know an amazing thing? So I gathered up my papers and I left. It was 8:25 p.m. And the amazing thing is that, just a second, I have to fix the exposure. The amazing thing is Dixon didn't, or Kleinbaum didn't know enough to get up and leave and take Natalia with him. And Dixon didn't know enough to close the court. So there they sat, wallowing in putrid ex parte, okay? And doing their devil's work. Well, that's the docket up to April 13th. And it was a terribly rainy night and very, very dangerous driving. I had to drive a long way, and the lights would glare off of the asphalt, the wet asphalt, and the visibility was really bad, and I had to drive a long way. But I was thankful to make it home alive, and I was thankful that I stood up to this. I stood up to it. I was pressured, but I wasn't crushed. And so those are two things that I rejoiced about. And the next morning, I filed the notice of appeal. It cost $5, and I made sure it got out on the 14th. And I served the other side. I served Kleinbaum, and I served Nasty Natalia, that conclave. And I got it into the court by mail. In between the March 30th contact with Dixon in court and the April 13th contact with Dixon in court, I made an executive decision. I said I was going to make a motion to Dixon that he recuse. But then, after the April 13th fiasco, the decision says, no, junk the motion to recuse and sue Dixon. Sue Dixon in a United States District Court for violation of my civil rights, which are so patently clear on that audio tape. And so that's what I did. And that complaint was called Glendora versus Bully Dixon and his wife, so Kirk, and Nasty Natalia, and then Brat's sister Lydia, Mother Marie, Father, Brother Carlos, and the preferred country properties, and so I sued Kleinbaum, and I also sued the village of Chatham for allowing this terrible violation of Americanism to go on year after year, month after month, week after week, and also the Chatham police. And then I had to work 2 hours a day from that date forth until the time that I filed that in United States District Court, Chicago. In the Chatham village, village of Chatham and Dixon hired an attorney in Indianapolis. Now that was a good thing, because that was punishment. That's huge punishment right there, to hire an attorney. And then I filed the notice of appeal, the great big fat thing that I showed you last night, that was served last night. It was not served as a notice of appeal, it was served as an argument for the appellant's brief because it had 5 attachments. And that is really the argument. And I sent a copy to the county clerk and then the county, to the county judge named Nichols, and his clerk, Clark, returned it. If Clark were a clerk, if Clark were a clerk in Great Britain, he would be called a clerk, because that's how they say clerk in Great Britain. They call him a clerk. Now I think that we're ready. That's the background you needed to understand this appellant's brief, which was served last night. So it was Supreme Court, County of Columbia, State of New York, United States of America, Preferred Country Properties, Plaintiff Appellee versus Glendora, Defendant Appellant, Appellant's brief. Argument. Glendora submits his argument, all 5 attachments, to her notice of appeal served May the 24th, year 2004, upon Chatham Village Court, upon the Preferred Country Properties Group, upon James Kleinbaum, and when written upon Ceresia Littman, Primadora, Judith Kay, and the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. All parties have been served. She returns to the Appeals Court, County Court of Columbia, her notice of appeal with attachments, which book was returned to Glendora by said court. As to the record on appeal, all parties and non-parties listed in paragraph 1 super have been served all court papers and all motion practice. Both what I said and what the county court said and what Kleinbaum said. On March the 18th, 2004 to today, August the 23rd, 2004, on the dates that they were completed. Glendora graciously volunteered to make a docket. And this docket, which I decided not to read you, is 12 pages. It took hours and hours. Kleinbaum is all wrong that Glendora has to prepare the appeal. Glendora has been in too many courts of appeal to be duped. And I will name them to you folks. The appellate term, the 2nd Department in Brooklyn, the appellate division, the 2nd Department in Brooklyn, the appellate division, 1st Department in Manhattan, the United States Court of Appeals for the 1st Circuit, Boston, the United States Court of Appeals for the 2nd Circuit, Manhattan, then the United States Court of Appeals for the 3rd Circuit, Philadelphia, the United States Court of Appeals for the 4th Circuit, Richmond, Virginia, the United States Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit, New Orleans, the United States Court of Appeals for the 6th Circuit, Cincinnati, the United States Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit, Chicago, the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit, Denver, hold everything, strike that, the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit, St. Louis, the United States Court of Appeals for the 9th Circuit, San Francisco, the United States Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit, Denver, the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, Atlanta. All Glendora was required to do was settle the minutes and notice the appeal to be argued. The lower court did the docket and the record on appeal. Glendora's noticing the appeal ready to argue is on a separate sheet. Glendora should not have to do all this. It is up to the clerk of the lower court to do this, and that's Mrs. Joanne C. Dixon, wife of the justice of the village court, Chatham. Glendora wants her filing fees back for both cases, Preferred versus Glendora and Glendora versus Nasty Natalia, $10 total. This is consumer fraud. The clerk's office was paid to do a job and did not do it. If the paper is late, and it may not be, then Glendora deserves leniency because it took 19 hours to write plaintiff appellant's reply brief back to back to defendant appellant, the instant paper being written now. See, there's two cases, Preferred versus Glendora and Glendora versus Nasty Natalia. Glendora does not understand why she does not have 3 judges in this appeals court. Appellate term and all U.S. courts of appeal have 3 judges. The appellate division has 5, the New York Court of Appeals has 7, and the Supreme Court of the United States has 9. The minutes of the proceedings, euphemistically called in Chatham Village Court, are in attachment 5, taken from Glendora's audio tape. That's just what you heard now. The audio tapes are being cablecast on Channel 7 Chatham and 7 other municipalities, Charter Cable TV, and webcast on www.achatwithglendora.com sometime in September 2004. Page 5, paragraph 15 is reserved. On May the 15th, Glendora received this order, dated May the 4th, 2004. I should not have called it an order. Well, yeah, okay, all right. Okay, that's all right. Chatham Village Court. Notice of civil judgment. That's right, it wasn't an order. I shouldn't have said order, that was wrong. It was not an order, it was a notice of civil judgment, whatever that is. And it says, please take notice, after hearing the proof and facts between the parties and deliberating thereon, the court's decision is judgment for damages in favor of the plaintiff, that would be Nasty Natalia, for the amount of $1,995.39. Against the above defendant, Glendora, and is signed George C. Dixon, village justice. Make that figure 2,000, okay? It's too complicated to remember all that, but it was very close to $2,000. In fact, within $4. And then came the notice of entry from Kleinbaum of the order. And then came within 20 days, Glendora submitted her notice of appeal with attachments to the Chatham Village Court, and she enclosed the $5 filing fee. I think we're going to have to, of course it isn't warm enough. It's like 85 degrees, so we're going to have to dispense with the gloves so we can turn the pages. And here is a copy of the front page notice of appeal with attachments, with a note to the clerk, make certain that these attachments go to the county court with the notice of appeal. Glendora, please take notice that Glendora appeals to the county court the notice of civil judgment by George C. Dixon, Village Court, Village of Chatham. Dixon's paper is dated May 4th, 2004. Glendora appeals the same in its entirety. And that was dated May the 11th. Now, intra is the affirmation of service by mail. It was served on Kleinbaum. It was served on the Natalia group. And Attachment 1 of this notice of appeal was 36 pages, and it was reproduced herein as the first page. You remember all this because I read it to you on TV. That's the first page. And it makes very, very strong points that from the beginning, George Dixon did not have jurisdiction over Glendora because Kleinbaum, Natalia failed on service pursuant to the New York State the Real Actions and Proceedings Law, which says in personam service, it says regular mail, and it says nail and mail. It has to be affixed. Then attachment 2 was Glendora's 102-page summons and complaint, served March the 23rd, 2004, and it looked like this. That was started my lawsuit, Glendora versus Nasty Natalia, Brett, Sister Lydia, etc. And attachment 3 was and is Glendora's complaint against bully George Dixon through Preferred. And the first sheet looked like this, and this complaint was filed in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, i.e. Chicago. Now, pages 116 to 218 record what happened on April the 13th, 04, at the hearing so-called on damages. That's a tape that you just heard the tail end of this week, and last week you heard the whole tape, for which no complaint was ever filed. The point there is that once I vacated the premises, because I didn't want anything more to do with the likes of Natalia, once I vacated those premises, the case was over, because it was petitioned for a 3-day eviction. Well, if you're moved, there's no eviction. There's no eviction. I was not evicted. I voluntarily moved. And then they come up with damages, and Dixon lets them do this, when they should have filed a new complaint and said these are the damages and these are what they are for. The well-pleaded complaint, and so Kleinbaum and Natalia failed on that. These pages also include a transcript of the audio tape of that so-called hearing, and this is attachment 4. Attachment 5 is Glendora's ad hominem for $3,000 submitted to the court April the 13th, 04 hearing and served on Natalia and Kleinbaum and Dixon. Well, how can anybody be called a justice of the village court when he lets the defendant speak first? The case was Glendora versus Nasty Natalia et al. Glendora is the plaintiff. Kleinbaum speak first. And Kleinbaum complained, it says personal damages, and it doesn't specify. But I'm holding in my hand the ad hominem, which tells you what these personal damages are. And if I had spoken first, it would have been given to Kleinbaum and to Natalia and to George Dixon, the so-called justice. And it also included pages 7 to 56 of the meticulous log that Glendora has kept of the hours and dollars, and for what, that Natalia has cost Glendora. And that log now, today, is up to about 80 pages. 7b. Today, August the 19th, 2004, Anno Domini, the current totals are 461 hours she has cost me, and $2,044.08 in print, post, travels, and fees. Now 461 hours times $300 is what Glendora's rate is $138,000. And this log is currently 62 pages. Now the law says that when 30 days of service, within 30 days of service of judgment with notice of entry, the appellant must file with the Justice Court the notice of appeal with proof of service on the respondents. Within 30 days of the filing of the notice of appeal, if no stenographic minutes were taken, and none was, no stenographic minutes were taken, the clerk of the Justice Court shall prepare minutes of the proceedings, and that would be Joanne Dixon, consisting of a statement sufficiently descriptive of the testimony to make possible appellate review. The minutes should include the basic facts to which witnesses testified, that is, the substance of all testimony that reflected one was or another on the essential facts on which the judgment depends, including rulings or opinions of the court. Okay, well, Madam Clerk, Mrs. George C. Dixon, did not do this. The deadline date, 30 days, is May 24th to June the 23rd. That's when the notice of appeal was filed, May 24th. And she had until June 23rd. And it is now August the 19th, 26 days later, and Madam Clerk has not prepared minutes of the proceedings. Appellant has not been notified, and consequently the remainder allocutions of the law cannot be consummated, and they are: the appellant then prepares a notice of settlement giving at least 3 days written notice to both the respondent and the justice court, setting a date on which the parties shall appear before the justice to examine the minutes. The clerk then prepares a return which consists of the pleadings, the evidence, the opinion of the court, and all papers necessary for appellate review. And within 5 days after the return date of the notice to settle the case, the justice shall settle the case and endorse the settlement on the return. As the alternative to, the parties may stipulate that the transcript with proposed amendments, if any, is correct. The clerk of the Justice Court then files a return with the county clerk. This is a Uniform Justice Court Act, 1704. And then the Justice Court should forward a copy of its return to the parties and so indicate that the Justice Court did so to the county court. Glendora says the Dixons have stonewalled Glendora's due process. Again, this is obstruction of justice, state analog to U.S. Criminal Code, Title 18, Section 1503. Glendora has been denied her rights to do this. And the law says, well, the tape got tired of listening to this, and I don't want to. So, you had to put in a new tape. And you have to go back. Over onto the VHS, it said that we left off at the justice, obstruction of justice. This is obstruction of justice, state analog to U.S. Criminal Code, Title 18, Section 1503. Glendora has been denied her rights to do this. Within 20 days after the return has been filed with the county court, the appellant must notice the appeal for argument and the appellant's brief with proof of service of a copy on the respondent at least 14 days before the return date with the county court clerk. Respondent's brief must be filed within 12 days after service of appellant's brief and proof of service upon appellant. This is from Title 22 New York Code Rules and Regulations, and it's Section 202. Glendora is prohibited from carrying out the appeals court order of August the 3rd, 04, page 1, paragraph 3, which says that she was given a stay. I asked for a stay of execution of this phony $2,000. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans because I don't have $2,000. You know, if they're going to try to rip off somebody, take somebody with money, I don't have any money. So, and they can't collect it anyway. There's no way, it's not collectible. And I asked for a stay of execution, and it was denied. And then I wrote back, and because they said I didn't put down an undertaking. An undertaking doesn't have to do with something when somebody dies. And so I asked somebody, and they said, oh, an undertaking is usually twice the amount of the judgment. Well, that's ridiculous. And so I said to the county court, then you pay it. You pay the undertaking. Because I applied for informa pauperis, proceeding without payment of fees. And I gave them 8 pages of, you saw it, 8 pages of what money comes in and what money is spent, what's for postage, and what's for printing, what's for gasoline, what's for food, and what's for rent, and everything was 8 pages. And that convinced them. And so they did stay the execution. And I read that to you on TV, that ordered that all proceedings on the part of the of preferred country properties and the county sheriff be prohibited. So we got to stay. And then Glendora says, likewise, the appeals court, that's the County Court of Columbia, is prohibited from doing its job, which is county court considers the case and issues the decision. Now this is a relief requested. Now this is really a kicker. Wherefore, therefore, and ergo, defendant appellant Glendora pleads that this court vacate the notice of judgment of May the 4th, 2004, and award her $2,000, or rather $3,000, for compensatory and punitive damages caused her by George C. Dixon, the justice of the village court, and his wife, the clerk, Joanne Dixon, caused her by the Dixons, Preferred Country Properties, James Kleinbaum, and the Natalia Group, the Village of Chatham, and the Chatham Police. And payment shall be in postal money orders. The Dixons' part of this payment should be a sanctioned fine. August the 23rd, 2004, Anno Domini, County of Columbia, State of New York. Yours in truth, and in amor patriae, Glendora. And I'm protected by Uniform Commercial Code, Book 1, Section 207. And here is the service list, but then I showed you that, didn't I? The Nichols Clerk, Preferred Country Properties, James Kleinbaum, the Dixons, the Chatham Village Court, Ceresia Littman, Pumadora, Judith K., the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct, the Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated, to you, Glendora TV audience, which is the most important, and to the Internet audience, and to George McDermott, Great American Patriot in Washington, D.C. And here is the service, and the service was last night, and you witnessed that on last week's program. Wow. I have to read you some jokes. I'll read you last week's jokes, so whatever. A few weeks ago. The chat with Glendora has a happy ending. Everybody's glad when it's over. And the teacher says for every student with a spark of genius, there's 9 others who have ignition problems. She said it was great in the old days. The kids used to bring you apples, and now they drive you bananas. And behind every successful man is a proud wife and a flabbergasted mother-in-law. And it's good that the senator during the election was out campaigning in all of the outlying districts, because during the campaign he was outlying in all of them. And Gatorade, a woman thought, was welfare for crocodiles. And the lady said to the travel agent, how long does it take to fly to Rome? And the travel agent says, just a minute. The lady says, that's not bad. Then the wife says to the husband, we ought to move into a more expensive apartment. The husband says, don't worry, dear, the landlord will be raising the rent on this one. And the couple who had identical twin girls, and they named them Kate and Duplicate. The man was in the maternity ward, and the new father said to him, here, have a cigar. And the man says, well, is it a boy or a girl? And the new father says, I don't know one cigar from another. Okay, this is Chat with Glendora on 45 TV stations. Equals 450 municipalities, because each TV station like this one covers about 10 municipalities. And it's also on the internet all over the world. There are 41, I think there are 49 shows, half-hour shows, on the internet. You can watch it on the computer screen the way you do on the TV screen. Is that all? You know what this took? I started this at 8 o'clock and it's 3 o'clock this afternoon. How long is that? 7 1/4 hours it's taken to bring you this report. It's a terrible call, but it has to be done. So keep your courage flaming, and if you like the show, tell everybody, and if you didn't like it, just keep it our little secret. Where do you suppose they dump the dirt in the grass? All right. That was pleasant, wasn't it? Bye-bye. More road construction. I think this is the one we saw last week. Why does the corn turn brown so fast? Well, why does it turn brown? Number 1 and 2, why does it turn brown so fast? You see? Just a little while ago it was all so fresh and green and pretty. I'll have to ask my agronomist, Thomas Kilser. Want to see the planes? No, not the grass, but the airplanes. Where do you suppose they dump the dirt and the grass? All right. That was pleasant, wasn't it? Bye-bye. More road construction. I think this is the one we saw last week. Why does the corn turn brown so fast? Well, why does it turn brown? Number 1 and 2, why does it turn brown so fast? You see? Just a little while ago it was all so fresh and green and pretty. I'll have to ask my agronomist, Thomas Kilser. One, two, three, 4. Come in. Come in. Talk to the rooster. It just took 1 hour, folks, to take out every one of these rugs and shake them. 1 hour. But boy, does it look nice. And this rug is adorable, but he's a problem. He sheds And his white fur goes all over the rest of the rugs. 1 hour, folks. 1 hour to shake all these rugs outdoors and then to sweep the floor. Rejoice, ye pure in heart. Rejoice, give thanks and sing. Here, folks, is a delicious vegetarian meal. Mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, and pinto beans, and a vegetarian hamburger. Now this is Emily Peters, and she's an Irish fairy. Where are you going, Irish fairy?
My dad's gonna take me home, and I don't know.
Uh-huh. And when are you going to Ireland, Irish fairy?
Probably when I grow up.
Oh, okay. And this is Elizabeth Kilser, and she is a
Gypsy dancer.
a gypsy dancer.
And just gypsies, I think, originated in Scotland.
You think they did? I thought it was in Central Europe.
No, I think it was Scotland. I don't know. That's what I think so. It's the Celts. Celtic people. Yeah.
The Celts? Oh, yeah? Is Celts spelled C-E-L-T-S?
Yes.
Okay. And this is Ruth. And baby Ruth has a new wrap. And it's all quilted. Isn't it nice?
And it's stuffed with heather. Fake heather.
That's fake heather.
Yes.
Okay, okay. What's the heather for? Just to eat or to...
Padding.
Oh, just for padding. Yeah, okay. That's fine. And you're both in 5th grade?
Yes.
And you both go to gymnastics together, right?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's good. Do you like dogs and cats?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your favorite TV show?
We don't watch TV.
You don't watch TV?
We just watch movies.
I don't watch TV either, except for a chat with Glendora.
I have 2 of them, and they're Gilmore Girls and AFV, which is America's Funniest Home Videos.
Oh, okay.
It's videos from families across the United States that have their
Yeah.
funny times.
You think we should send in this video?
Well, we don't have a joke to tell, but I do have one.
Okay, good. What is it?
What happened when the lead married the tin?
When the lead married the tin. What happened when the lead married the tin? I give up.
They had pewter babies. Pewter's technical.
They had pewter babies.
Let's see. What does the frog call when he has a flat tire?
I forgot.
A toad truck.
Toad truck. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Goodbye, Emily.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Elizabeth.
Goodbye.
And Megan are your nicknames.
Yes.
All right. Goodbye, Helen, and goodbye, Megan. We have rolled around to face the sun. Oh, thank you for that. How it works every day. I hate that. God, make those men go home and behave. God, protect the animals. Protect the animals. God, bring the men to their senses. Stop the cruelty to animals. Protect the animals. Make the men go home and come to their senses. Brutes. There's Tweety Bird. Hi, Tweety Bird. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. song shall rise to thee. Only thou art holy, there is none beside thee. God in 3 persons, blessed Trinity. Go home, you ugly men. You're a bunch of cowards. Give the deer a gun. Bunch of cowards. It's not a fair fight. Go on home and come to your senses. You're murdering. Protect the deer. Protect the deer. Protect the deer. Stop the madness. The skunks had quite a feast last night. They had a great big vegetarian dinner, mashed potatoes, vegetarian burger. Stop it! Stop it! Gravy, green beans, pinto beans. Poor deer. Where are the place they got to go? Where can they run to safety? Think of their terror. Go home! And then an opossum came early this morning and had cookies around 4 o'clock. This is for the morning birds. And over here, editing had to start, of course, at 5:30 this morning. See our clean rugs? It took several hours to shake all these rugs. So the editing has started. I just found a tape that I'll give to the Locan Love Apple Farm. It's some random shots. It's not their interview, but it's just some random shots. So, where are we now? We're doing the last load. We got one more machine to load before we can start wiring, and then comes the opening, and then the first edition. And I think there's only 6 editions today instead of 20. Remember I told you that day those 2 turkeys were over there? So one of their feathers fell out.
This is episode number 4000 of A Chat with Glendora. The show will feature some great old clips from the past, as well as some new behind-the-scenes footage. Plus, we'll find out some things about Glendora that you might not already know. Stay tuned.
Hi there, everybody. This is Glendora, A Chat with Glendora. And Andrew Hersman is helping me celebrate my 4,000th TV show on public access, a half an hour each. It started in 1972 in Lackawanna, New York, which is a town south of Buffalo. And it's gone all the way up until now, 2004. And when I say 4,000 shows, that would be, it started out, of course, not one a week, but it's one a week now and more. And today, I'm already on the 8th one this week. And last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, I did 9 editions. And a month ago, I did 19. Or was it 18? 18 and a half hours. That's how much information there is to get out to you, the public. Harold said to Bob, "I'm worried about my 4th daughter getting married." And Bob said, "Why?" And Harold says, "Well, on account of my 1st daughter married a man from Singleton, New Hampshire, and they had 1 child. And my 2nd daughter married a man from Twin Oaks, New Hampshire, and they had 2 children. And my 3rd daughter married a man from Three Rivers, Michigan, and they had 3 children." And Bob says, "So why are you worried about your 4th daughter?" And Harry says, "She's going with a man from the Thousand Islands." Now, it starts with this. I go here and buy these tapes, folks, for... Just a second, I had to move it when kind of the new computer moved in. I have to buy these tapes. First of all, you might like to see the ones that are done. These are the ones that have been done today. There's 5 copies of each edition, and as I say, that's 8 programs, and that's 8 editions, so that's 40 tapes that have been done. Plus, Cross River is the only TV system I'm on that has a chat with Glendora for 2 hours. Isn't it amazing what the public will stand? And so they get 2 Cross Rivers. They get Cross River 1 and Cross River 2, because I do this only every 2 weeks. Now, so I go over here, folks, I go to Walmart, and I buy packages of 10 tapes, and they're $8 and something, so that when I buy 4, it's approximately $39. I can buy 4 VHS all 2 hours. And then I have to go over here, and I have to put on these labels on each one. I was telling Richard, see, I start this at 5:30 every other Saturday. If I don't start it at 5:30, I don't get it done. So I started at 5:30 and get it rolling before something happens. You know what the man down Maine said? He liked to get up at 5:30, and he was asked why, and he says, "Because I want to breathe the air before anybody else does." Now, so I label it there, and I labeled that upside down. That's good. And then this one on the back. All right. Now, see, this is the wiring I was telling you about. It comes through the 8mm.
Oops.
It's okay. Let me get the 8mm for you. This is a Sony. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful companion. True friend. Trustworthy. And it comes out of the Sony, and it goes into this first one, which is a Sanyo VCR. You can see the yellow. And then it loops from this Sanyo up to an Emerson, up to another Emerson, up to a second Sanyo, up to the Sony. And you got to give Sony credit. I don't like them because they've taken away the market so many times, but you got to give them credit. They make good products. Then to the 6th VCR, an Emerson, another Emerson, another Emerson, and another Emerson. And then the opening is played down here, folks. Right here. Oh, we might as well do that. This is just a demo now. This is not going to fly on the TV. Okay, we'll put... This is the one we're recording onto. Okay. And here's the opening. Now I have to cue it up. every time. You know, the most important interview I probably ever had was Robert C. Wright, and I pushed all the wrong buttons. Robert C. Wright, who's the chairman and chief executive officer of NBC Television, or NBC Network. And wouldn't you know, and I spelled my name wrong, but that's the way it always goes. All right, this is the opening. So now we will play it, and then you stand by to record over here. You want to see that button? This button right here. It's what you call a hard edit. You just press a button. That's a hard edit.
First, I have some things here to tell you that was sort of amusing. My husband sings in the choir, and the director of the choir works for the state, and the state gave everybody a bonus. They gave him 2 days off. And so the soprano said, gee, you're wonderful, you know. He said, under what sign were you born? And the alto said, under the dollar sign.
In 1987, I got a call from the David Letterman show.